Hi everyone, welcome to the Powertime show with Matt and Scott. And on today's show,
he said, "Hey, what do you think the role of a technical salesperson is going to be in the next 5 years, the next 10 years?"
You're scared. I'm worried I'm going to get hypnotized to go and sell Salesforce or something. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, if I come back with a black eye, it's probably likely. But anyway, looking forward to getting over there and giving myself a bit of a personal challenge. So yeah.
You know, Matt, if you come back with a black eye and that's it, that's a win. yeah.
Get ready, let's go. Unlocking secrets leaders should know.
Hey everyone, welcome to Power Time. I am Scott Meddings from Microsoft, joined here by my good friend Matt. Do you want to do a quick intro, Matt?
Hey, my name's Matt from NCS. Yeah, really looking forward to today's show. We have a really special guest, Scott. So I might hand over to you because you got this guest on the show to maybe do a bit of an introduction on who they are.
Yeah, before we get into the guest, Matt, I've got to talk about. So we filmed, we recorded the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and at the end of it, we'll talk briefly about what you've been doing for the last 2 weeks. I've had a crazy couple of weeks as well, which I'm going to talk about now. But I'm really keen to hear about your adventures over in Thailand and your kickboxing. But for me, while you've been going and do that, I actually did a boxing class as well last week, which I was pretty proud of.
Inspired you
That's
already.
the first one I've done in a long time. You did. You've done two things this week. You've inspired me to follow Bulldogs, and you've also inspired me to do boxing. So just definitely thinking outside the box now. But we had a great couple of weeks. A couple of times a year, I think it might be every quarter at Microsoft, we do this Australian Leadership Forum. So it's really Steve Worrell, who's our general manager. He brings the entire leadership team together, and we talk about a whole bunch of things around the business and Microsoft, and have a lot of inspiring people come in and talk to us about various things. And a big highlight, we did that. So we did that a week ago, and we had the Finding Mastery team in. And for those who are listening into the podcast, the Finding Mastery team is led by Dr. Gervais. He led the Seattle Seahawks for a little bit. He was doing mind coaching for the coach that coached the Seattle Seahawks.
Pete Carroll is his name. I'm a big NFL fan, so there you go.
There you go. Yeah. So he's very core to Microsoft and how we can tune our mind to really be high performance. And this is a bit of a high performance podcast. We're talking a lot about this stuff and what we're doing. And you know, Ray, who's on a bit later, who explain why he's come onto the podcast today. But the Finding Mastery team consisted of two young ladies who are both Olympic athletes, and they spoke about their journey, and it was very inspiring. So that was amazing. I was really happy with that. And at the same time, we had Build drop as well. Super exciting. With Build, Apple released their Worldwide Developer Conference as well. So there was a whole bunch of stuff, announcements with Apple going on, and Google had theirs as well. So in the world of AI right now, it's been incredible with all the news that's gone through. And, you know, I can't help but use ChatGPT's new AI voice assistant, which I thought was amazing. I really got stuck into that last week with my team and having a heap of fun with that. So anyway, that's kind of my last couple of weeks and what I've been doing. Matt, let's tell our listeners what you've actually been doing, because that's pretty amazing as well.
Before I do that, did you see Elon Musk tweet about Apple and the iPhone and how they might be banned from anything to do with Tesla?
I saw that. He wants a Faraday cage for every Apple device because they've signed up with OpenAI. How ridiculous is that, right? Yeah. So, of course, Apple's going to sign up with OpenAI. Who else are they going to sign up with right now? I think they're kind of late to the game, you know. I actually found their developer conference a little underwhelming, to be honest. It's great that I think it's great the work they've done on the devices and the operating system, and there's some cool features there, you know, emojis and things that you can design and put on your messages. Like, it's all cool stuff, but I didn't see anything that's really going to impact the enterprise at all or the way we work. So
yeah. I think it might be the segue. I think X might release a phone. It might be a bit of a Elon, bit of a payback coming. So maybe watch this space and see what he does with devices and all of that kind of stuff. Because if anyone wants to check his Twitter out, read it. He wasn't a very happy chappy at all when that sort of partnership came out. And obviously with Ellen, he's quite vocal on his social media. So yeah, a very interesting read and a bit of a popcorn moment when I was sitting back in Thailand having a look at that. But anyway, about Thailand. So for those who don't know, I'm a bit of all or nothing kind of guy. So if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it properly and probably to the 100th degree. So I decided, and I've always wanted to do this, I went and trained at Tiger MMA, which is the biggest martial arts or, fight camp in the world. So I trained there for 2 weeks. I trained 3 times a day. Obviously in the 32-degree heat, ridiculous humidity, all of that kind of stuff. So I pushed myself to the edge and the boundaries. So I trained with, Peter Yan, who's a UFC fighter. I trained with his boxing coach. I trained with Alexander Volkanovski's Brazilian jiu-jitsu coach. I had one-on-ones at his strength and conditioning. I ran up Mount called the Buddha Run, which is a ridiculously difficult run. So if you want to have a look at that. But I stayed at a place called Geelong, which was all about fitness and healthy and lifestyle. And a lot of the people that went there, it wasn't your typical Thailand trip like Bangla Road where everyone's, going to the pubs and all of that kind of stuff. It was a completely different vibe. It was all about, getting away. It was all about wellness. It was all about, ice baths and all of that kind of stuff. So for me, in a really sort of high pressure job and all that kind of stuff, I loved it. I loved the fact that I could get away, to really switch off, really, discover some things that I wanted to do, set some goals for myself, set some goals for my team, but really have that time to reset and reflect. And yeah, for me, it was a really, really positive thing, and I'll definitely be going back. It was definitely difficult, of course. Training 3 times a day in that heat, I was basically getting my body pieced back together by the local massage therapist every night so I could go train. But it was amazing. Honestly, it was amazing. And yeah, going to pick up a lot of that stuff that I've done and take it back over here in Australia. So a lot of the jiu-jitsu and a lot of the sort of boxing, I'm definitely picking that up again and going to give it a red hot crack while I'm here. So very exciting, very cool. So yeah, that was it. So if you've got any questions to ask me about my trip?
I do have one trip. So at the end of the podcast that we recorded with Ray, we made a comment not to injure yourself, and Ray made a comment around a black eye.
No black eyes.
Yeah. So I believe you did get an injury. Do you want to tell me what happened?
Yes, and I was completely sober for this, which makes it even more embarrassing. So I went to like a local Muay Thai stadium, fight, to watch some of the people that we've been obviously training with, doing fight in Muay Thai and mixed martial arts. And because of some dodgy Thai stadium up some, real crappy stairs, basically, climbing up to the stairs to get my seat, I was wearing some thongs, and I got my thongs caught in the stairs and basically twisted my ankle, turned into a human bowling ball and rolled down the stairs and took out 2 Thai ladies. So I've been hobbling around since. I don't know how the 2 Thai ladies are. I did apologize to them profusely and offered them all amounts of Thai bar because I did roll and hit them pretty hard. But that was the only injury I had the whole time. So I sparred with crazy Russian people, crazy Thai people.
Wow.
Upstairs got me out of the whole trip. So yeah.
Wow.
That was what I finally did it.
Mate, I don't know what to say about that, because you've done 2 weeks of hard training and you hurt yourself because of a pair of thongs. Nuts.
I did. Yeah, I just got stuck. So I just got stuck in this little vent or gap, and yeah, I just literally just twisted, fell over, and just started rolling like a rate of knots, and I just couldn't stop myself. So quite a funny story. I'm probably about a week away from being able to get back to training. I actually did quite a number on my ankle, to be honest. And luckily I managed to upgrade myself home to business class, which was something that I wanted to do. So that was a nice trip home.
Very good. Yeah, very good.
I was hobbling around. So yeah, gotta love Qantas points. So shout out to Qantas. Thank you. They might have sponsored the podcast, Scott. So, yeah.
No, that's awesome, mate. And look, I think, when we're thinking about high performance people training, I mean, Dr. Gervais talks a lot about sleep. I think that's probably a number one, making sure that you're getting your 7 or 8 hours. And, the athletes spoke a lot about this as well on their training, because, they went straight into full-time training, which is really interesting. So that's all they do, as you would expect. And they were talking about the importance of rest and sleep and exercise and looking after your mind and things like that. It's a really interesting. I've got the book here, actually. I'll flip this up on the screen for those listeners who have seen it. It's Stop Worrying About What People Think of You, The First Rule of Mastery by Dr. Michael Gervais. So if anyone wants to get into that, I think there's an audio book as well. I haven't checked. His last book was an audio book too, but it's definitely, I think, I think between him and Simon Sinek are the two people that I watch a lot and listen to their podcasts and TikToks and things like this as well, just to get as much information as I can. And yeah, it was amazing session. Sounds like you had a great time for 2 weeks, and here we are reconvening. So our guest today is someone that I've worked with for quite a long time. They'd already been working at Microsoft when I started, and Ray is someone that is based out of Seattle and spends a lot of time really understanding people, the role of meditation, hypnosis, all of these things and how they can impact the way we work and what we do. And from a BizApps point of view, so business applications, which is the team that, that I'm in, he was the person that kind of led a lot of the managers for a long time around that voice in Seattle. So he had a global lead role. And he was the one that would be, fighting the battle for us if we needed anything done, that real advocate and voice. And obviously he flew out to Australia quite a few times as well, spent a lot of time training myself and the team around pre-sales. So a lot of knowledge on the topic of business applications, a lot of global knowledge around that as well. And really just after 17 years, a lot of knowledge on Microsoft as well. So yeah, just someone that I've got a lot of respect for. And, sometimes when we talk about these things, when we talk about high performance and, really understanding what drives people and why you do the things you do, it can be uncomfortable, it can be awkward, and it can also be something that people might not believe in as well. So sometimes just changing your mindset can make a big impact. And I think Ray kind of pushes the boundaries with a few of the topics he's talking about, particularly around hypnosis and what role that might play. But it was it was an interesting conversation, wasn't it?
I love all that stuff. I'm a unique character. It was the first time talking to Ray. I thought he was fantastic. Yeah. And I thought, like you said, Scott, he's a really good listener. He's really good in articulating things. And I can imagine he was a great leader for Microsoft and obviously for the team that you work with as well. I really, really enjoyed the conversation. I can see why he was been so successful. And I'm definitely going to get hypnotized by Ray soon. So Ray, when you hear this, I will be reaching out to you very shortly to attempt that promise that I said on the podcast. So yeah.
Just be careful about that. But anyway, I'll be in Seattle in 2 or 3 weeks. So I'll catch up with him in person and deliver a pack of Tim Tams to him and say thank you, maybe some Vegemite as well, and just say thank you from the Aussies down under for jumping onto our podcast. So with that, I think we should bring Ray on, take a quick break, and let's have a chat to Ray Schloss. Hey, welcome back, everyone. We've got a good friend of mine joining the show today, Mr. Ray Schloss. I've known Ray for a very long time now, for quite a few years. And I'm very pleased to welcome him to the show to really talk about technical leadership, his experience, his new gig after Microsoft. 17 years at Microsoft's a long time, but maybe Ray, do you want to kick into a few minutes just about yourself and how you've been, I guess, how long you've been in the industry and the involvement you have with the industry, because it's fairly extensive.
Yeah. Hey, Scott. Great to see you again, mate. Always, man. Much love to you and the whole Aussie team. And Matt, it's a pleasure being on here with you as well. And so I did, like as you said, I spent 17 years at Microsoft, just left in April. And of those 17, 15, I was in BizApps, which really it was Dynamics. And we were just this little tiny part of Microsoft when we started. And so much of the challenge for years of that time was attempting to get the rest of the company to actually care about who we are and what we do, which was a real challenge until Satya became CEO. And since he incubated Dynamics, he really cared and he got it. And he was kind of like, wait a minute, if we get people to land enterprise applications, we're going to take care of the stack underneath it too, which seems like any reasonable person would fully understand that. But apparently the leadership prior to Satya didn't quite get it. Right. So anyway, the last couple of years I was in something called Cross Solutions, which was more of a one Microsoft go-to-market attempt. But prior to that, I worked with a couple other large companies, including Xerox. I was a digital systems color analyst for them, doing at first technical sales, and then it evolved into a partner that I worked for doing technical sales enablement through both them and Xerox. And I also worked for Lawson Software as a technical, what we would consider a technical solutions consultant, technical pre-sales at Lawson. They're a mid-market ERP vendor that is now been owned by Infor for many years at this point. But then I did some work with a consulting group and stuff as well. I like to play guitar and do yoga, Scott. That's what I do, man. And meditate. And it's also, yeah, I live in the greater Seattle area. And one thing that I've been working on for probably the last 2 years is doing meditation production. So I produce for a company called Brain Tap, and then also individual clients. So not only do I produce the music, but I make these custom affirmation and meditation tracks. And I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. So I really enjoy being able to help people transform their lives through hypnotherapy, because I saw the impact it had on my own life. And I love doing it, guys. It's something where you just like, Scott, Matt, there's a gentle breeze blowing.
I can feel myself selling Salesforce right now. Yeah, it's coming.
Sand with your toes. And you're reaching, can you just, are you fading off? Are you just getting ready to hit your subconscious? So that's what man, it's a balance of now post Microsoft doing some like sales enablement consulting. Had a great experience just last week speaking at a conference in Vegas with the Sales Enablement Collective, which was fantastic, and doing the meditation hypnotherapy side of things too.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So many things that we need to drill into on what you've just said. But one of the things that really stood out for me with your career at Microsoft was your leadership amongst the technical community, the involvement with our team. I mean, you come out to Australia multiple times, good half a dozen times, I think we were chatting about earlier, and the impact on the team and how they should really support customers and the passion that you've had over the years has been really tremendous. So if we think about, some of our listeners are leaders that might be standing up technical teams and really, I guess, trying to figure out in this new world of AI what they need to go and do around training, education, and getting these people ready to be able to have conversations with their customers. What are your thoughts around that? I mean, you're on the speaking circuit now, Ray, which is awesome, but what are your thoughts around how they should think about leading technical people?
Well, you mentioned AI in this, Scott, and that is going to be a super hot topic, because let's go back maybe 7 years ago or so. So I spent 7 years as the global technical sales director for BizApps for Microsoft, right? Which about the time that up until I moved roles towards the end of the time at Microsoft, we had about 1,200 people between our technical solutions professionals and their managers, which is what you are, Scotty, here, one of our fantastic TSMs, right? And there was a gentleman at Corp, he's still at Microsoft, fantastic guy, Carsten Scheumann, who was responsible for the TSMs across all of the commercial solution areas. And when we were really just getting to know each other a while back, again, I got at least 8 years ago, he pulled me aside one day and we were just chatting, and then he said, "Hey, what do you think the role of a technical salesperson is going to be in the next 5 years, the next 10 years?" And I hadn't really thought about it, right? And as we were discussing it, and AI was like, it was basically Terminator. That's the only thing we were thinking about AI. We weren't really, this is like,
Cortana, maybe.
Just
Cortana.
Clippy.
Yeah, Cortana. Yeah. Clippy. It really was Clippy, Matt. I think it was still a little early for, maybe Cortana was part of Halo at that point, but the thought of practicality in sales teams was a pipe dream at that point, or some future thing. But Carsten started talking about how long do you think it's going to be before there are artificial intelligence applications that are going to be able to look at a company's infrastructure against a set of predetermined goals, or that it may even be suggesting the goals, and that it's going to be able to generate a solution and demonstrate that solution in in seconds, versus what we have to go through in setting up demo environments and trying to recreate demo data and all of that kind of stuff. How long do you think it's going to be before there is an AI generated interface that is going to be so human like that the role of a technical sales professional is going to become obsolete? And I stood there for a second because I'm realizing he's describing, the obsolescence of both his and my roles at Microsoft. It's like, who needs a global role owner for a role that is now completely AI driven, right? So I think I took a little bit of a deep breath and a sigh of relief that it wasn't going to happen that fiscal year. But to answer your question, we are really close now. There are some companies out there. There's one that pops up on LinkedIn all the time. And in fact, when I was in Vegas, someone said, "Oh, hey, have you seen this?" And so we're kind of gathering around her laptop, and she's showing us her version of their AI generated enablement software. And like, look, I'm going to change the accent. Look, I'm going to change the avatar. Like, look how, human. And we're all like, yeah, it's still AI. And you can tell, but give it 2 years and no, it's not, right? You're going to be able to have a Scott Meddings demo for anything that you want to do, AI generated. And we can already, AI is already amazing at being able to do language replacement and multiple versions based on, changing your lighting and all these other kind of things, and deep faking things, which is scary. And so when I think about AI and enablement, the one quote I heard a while back from a guy who started doing fractional CAIO work, right? Which is a really fantastic idea if you know what you're doing, was that you're not going to lose your role to someone. You're not going to lose your role to AI, but you will lose your role to someone who knows how to use AI. And so hence why, like, prompting and being able to prompt effectively is massive. So it's like, I remember, before leaving, and anytime I open up LinkedIn, all you see from Microsoft people is, oh, look what we're doing with Copilot. Oh, look, Copilot. Oh, it's Copilot this. Oh, it's Copilot that. I almost want to put a filter on LinkedIn and say, hey, if there's more than 3 notifications about posting about Copilot in one day, just skip the other 12. Okay, I'm good at 3, right? But obviously, it is the biggest directional push that Microsoft has done, and as long as I've known, like 18 years or whatever of the experience in that, and they're not the only one. Everyone is chasing that hard because everybody knows that if they're late to the game, they're going to be shut out of the market in some way. So everybody's like, we got to do it. We got to do it. And I think that what the thing that we can do to help enable our sales professionals is to have them truly understand how to use it. And I know that Microsoft has really been trying to do that. We had a lot of internal things of like training options are available. Learn how to do this, learn how to use it. And I think that's the best thing that we can do at this point, is to, one, help people to fully understand the depth and breadth of what's available and possible in the technology. But the other side of that coin is, and at least this is just for me until I fully surrender into the metaverse somewhere, that the human side of it is still equally important. Still, it may not be like, we may have a recap of this podcast 2 years from now, guys, and we may be like, hey, Ray, remember what you said back in 2024? Well, yeah, not so much anymore, because we've all been, we're all doing external personal sales consulting because none of us have jobs. We've all been replaced by AI. Yeah.
Simulated, Ray. Simulated experiences. Look, I agree 100% with a lot of things you've been saying there. And I talk to my team all the time around the role and how it will evolve over years. And I think if you think about how people consume enterprise software right now, people still buy off people. I don't think that'll ever change. But, do I want my team, really getting deep in the weeds on technical stuff or demoing at a really deep level in the future? If we can just have like a demo copilot that does that, but they'll still need to translate that technology to the business and then map that to an outcome that the customer's trying to achieve. So I think we kind of all move up the stack a little bit and go, the point you made about you won't lose your job, but you will to people that know how to use AI. I think everyone's aligned. It's like the third time we've heard that on this podcast now from various different people. Yeah.
Coming.
So,
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it is. It is the consensus. The consensus now. 3 times is a consensus. So that is now the fact that we think that that's where it's going to go. And people just need to do some deep learning and really understand the benefit of the technology. And, it's hard. I think we're dealing with a lot of ambiguity as well. And you brought up the point about training. We don't even know what's coming next month to train on, let alone what's coming in 6 months. So you have to get used to deal. I'm trying to think of that Brene Brown quote. You have to rumble in the arena. You've got to get into the arena and really start looking at the technology with anger to really understand what we need to do moving forward. So
I guess one of the things is, how do you balance that technical aspect of your role with sort of the managerial and strategic ones, right? Maybe you can talk a bit about that, all this new technology coming, but how do you manage that and being, in up to speed with all this great tech, but also being able to lead and have a really strategic conversation with your technical sales team? So, yeah.
And a lot of this has to do, Matt, great question, failures that I've seen in the past. And having spent 8 years in the field at Microsoft, plus at Xerox and Lawson and other places. So, and then having the corporate experience for 9 years at Microsoft. I just want everybody to know that I started when I was 15. Okay, just so we get that out of the way. So
we all just assume that, Ray. We just assume that.
Yeah,
no one's guessing.
I'm retiring at 36. Okay, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
but anyways, the conveyance of confidence that I would say that people's roles are secure. We can never guarantee it, but I know that like Microsoft, and not just Microsoft. Remember, the industry went through huge layoffs post-COVID because they had ramped up all of this stuff. And then finally it's like, oh, wait a minute, we're kind of going back to some more sense of normal. We have all these roles we don't really need anymore. And then the layoffs started piling up. And I know that we had the significant ones at Microsoft. And one of the most important things was, how do we deal with people's anxiety about job security? And so I think it's really important for managers to have a strong sense of the pulse of the potential of AI in interdicting their team members' daily roles and responsibilities, and what are the expectations of their roles going forward. So like Scotty said, like people will always buy from people. I'm going to disagree. I think that in 2 or 3 years, man, there's going to be a Scott Meddings VR agent that is going to be so good and doesn't need a healthcare plan that, this is in all seriousness, y'all. This is what both the management and the frontline workers dealt with in Detroit in the auto industry in the US in the 70s or whatever, when they started bringing in robotics. And there was just this huge uproar, and it was like, you can't mess with us. We're, it's powerful unions and everything. And they're like, wow, we're bringing these robots in anyways. And yeah, the first year we may not get an ROI on it for 2 years, but this thing doesn't need a pension. And this thing doesn't need, healthcare benefits. And this thing, we can repurpose it and we can replace it. It's easy to fix. And I think that what is going to drive the replacement of roles is going to be the ROI that companies get for repurposing human-facing roles with AI in time. And again, so let's just go back to Karsten and I having that conversation like 8 years ago or whatever it was, and where we are now. We are, we're almost there. Where are we going to be 8 years from now? So Scotty, I'm going to disagree with you that like maybe this isn't going to happen. But in the short term, Matt, I really do think it's management understanding the goals, what we would typically refer to as like the role excellence components within those roles, like what are the critical indicators of success, and what confidence can a manager give their team that, hey, you're still vital and important to our mission objective, and you're not going to get laid off 3 months from now because, hey, surprise, the company's been working on this virtual TS agent, and yeah, they're going to start rolling them out in selected markets, and in the next 3 years you're gone, right, or something. I mean, and there's no way to guarantee that, but I think that's the thing that I've heard is the anxiety of like, are we replaceable? Like, how easily is it going to be that we're replaced by AI?
And I think that's a broader question, not just for the technical sales roles, but, if we look at the contact center and we talk about all this all the time, right? So the average contact center today, the experience is pretty bad for a customer. There's long waits. Some people get it right. A lot of companies don't. It's bad for the employee experience because, it's usually your first or second job and you want to move on. A lot of people are not nice when they call in, and there's a lot of training. It's regulated industry a lot of the time. So, AI is really well suited to kind of coming into the contact center, delivering a human-like experience that's, to your point, never sleeps, can speak any language, can translate any accent, and really be relatable, but deliver regulated content back to the customer. But from the customer's point of view, they get a result instantly and they're very happy because they didn't have to wait 45 minutes to find out if their assurance policy's expired or, if they're how much money they got left on their payment plan for something. So I think there are some jobs it's really ideally suited for. But if you look at on the other side of the fence, like things like what they're doing with Figaro, one and the robotics and things that are going on right now, there should be an influx and generation of all these new jobs that come through because of AI. So I think there'll be a fair bit of backwards and forwards. I think Matt and I went and saw Steve Bartlett not long ago, and he was talking a lot about, that technology curve. If you look back when cars were introduced, people just wanted an extra 2 horses. They didn't want to buy a car. And then the car industry boomed and just generated way more jobs than the horse industry ever did. And then he said, if you map that to every single, tech curve over the years, there's always been an acceleration. We just end up doing different things. So I think we're really at that impasse right now. But to your point, it took kind of 8 years to get there, which is really interesting. So Ray, what do you? So you've had a stellar career at Microsoft. There's no doubt, huge impact on a lot of.
Well, there will be people who disagree with you on that, Scott. I feel
what's the future for Ray? What are you looking at?
There's a slice of people who are going to be like, no, but to your point, dude, I'm very grateful that.
They won't listen to this podcast, Ray, so it doesn't matter. But
that's when the hypnosis kicks in and Ray can just hypnotize them and, hey, the experience was great and all of that kind of stuff.
I'll tell you, Matt, I wasn't certified at the time some of those things went down, but damn, I wish I would have been. Because that would have been.
I'm going to take you up on a hypnosis one day, Ray. Hypnosis and a beer in Seattle one day. So right. Do a bit of a follow-up post that. Yeah.
Plan. We can do it virtually. Actually, Matt, you know what? It's extremely effective virtually. So, and one of the, although I didn't do it virtually, most people go for hypnosis due to an anxiety related problem. Like, I'm having an issue with this and I don't know how to handle it. And whether that, when you get down to it, it's fear based in some way. And the first time I went, it was for a much more esoteric reason. It was for I'd read this book about life between life hypnosis, and it goes beyond past life regression, which at the point, given the face system that I'd been in for like 25 years, I didn't even think that was viable, but I was coming out of that face system and broadening my horizons greatly. And so I went to a hypnotherapist who was very experienced in doing what happens to you in between incarnations, because I do believe in reincarnation now. And the things that happened to me in that hypnotherapy session absolutely blew my mind and changed my life for the better. But the interesting follow-up to it was, I was like, oh, this works, right? So the biggest challenge I'd had been with racquetball. I'd been just like addicted to playing racquetball for, at that point, probably 30 years. And it's kind of like, since most people don't play racquetball, but if you think about golf, a much more popular thing, if there was something wrong with your swing that you just couldn't correct, and you went to hypnosis and you did some work on it and you went back to playing golf, and within a week that problem was almost gone. And that's what happened to me with racquetball. I would not let the ball drop the extra 3 or 4 inches necessary to have the difference between a kill shot at the front wall and it bouncing high enough that my opponent could make a return on it. And the hypnosis changed it. So that, I'm not even sure how we got on this subject, but how I got on it. I wouldn't even leave you. Oh yeah, that's right. So
I like to railroad things, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, that was great. And in all seriousness, it's something that, like, you want your team to do better. You don't have to hypnotize people, but addressing subconscious blockage is huge. And so creating affirmation, like a meditation affirmation, like, hey, we're going to do a meditation journey that you can listen to, if you're really into it, once a day or once a week or whatever, but that you've got a team of 9 people and we've got a sales goal and we're setting a goal. We're going to finish 117% of quota this year. And that means we need X percentage of win rate and, Y percentage deal size and, and actually taking people into something where they're getting a subconscious confidence in being able to accomplish those goals can make a huge difference, just like my racquetball game did. When I got rid of that fear that, oh my God, it's going to hit the floor. It's going to hit the floor. Hit it now. It's going to hit the floor. Like I may not have been, thinking that in my executive decision-making frontal lobe area, but the back of the brain was all about like fear, like, no, you're going to lose, like hit it, and so we can change those things. So it's a neat way to look at how bringing a different aspect of the human development component of sales.
It's interesting because, all of us kind of really interested in high performing teams and what does it mean to be a high performer and how we can just achieve that little bit more. And, one thing that I've come to realize with high performing people, a lot of people are dealing with trauma and that can be the driving force behind them. It's not monetary. It could be something that they're dealing with. And addressing that, counseling, meditation, all of those things, it can really help. It really can. So, and as a manager, understanding those people and what motivates them and drives them. I think, again, Brené Brown's training is very good for addressing that or really delving into what motivated you. I did 3 days worth of that last year, I think. And, it was fantastic for really open my eyes to really why people do things and including for myself as well, and what motivates me to change and things like that. So this sounds like another excellent tool to really have in the kit bag if people are open to it, to maybe address things that might be holding them back, right, in life.
Scott, that's a beautiful example. And to your point on if people are open to it, that is 100% what's necessary for success. Because when you're not open to it, when your conscious mind, and there's a subconscious reason. The only people I've ever met who weren't able to be hypnotized is because they may consciously, some people are just like, no, I'm not going to do it. It's literally a control factor that they're consciously thinking about. There's still a subconscious reason that's driving that conscious thing. There's something they're afraid of the letting go. And so it's interesting that framing hypnosis, some people are very afraid of it because they think it's some kind of woo-woo thing. But anytime we're driving a car and we're not literally going, stop sign, wait, turn right. Okay, now stop, turn left. Like if you're doing things on your way to work that isn't giving you 100% of focus to what you're actually doing because it's repetitive, you're in a hypnotic state, right? It's all about where your focus of attention is. It's just hypnosis gives you a very specific focus of attention. And it's the exact same thing as when we're watching TV or we're at the movies, right? So you're watching TV and you're experiencing it as if the screen's a mile wide and everything until somebody comes and taps you on the shoulder. Hey, Matt. And then you go, oh, wait. Oh, I'm in my living room. And oh, look, the TV's that small. But I was really in there for a while, right? Same thing at the movies. That is literally a hypnotic state. So getting people to understand that you're not surrendering your will. Although the scary part is you see like stage hypnosis And there is a component of ethics to it, right? And there's a debate within the hypnosis community that no one has ever done anything hypnotized they didn't really want to do. So when it's like, oh, you told me I was a washing machine and I rolled around on the floor going, you know, most people who are into hypnotherapy avoid doing that kind of stuff because it's counterproductive. It's really about allowing your subconscious to come forward, very much like in our dream time, so that you can get to the root causes of things and then quickly adapt and change for the better.
It's a classic, isn't it? Like when you think about Jaws, the movie, the creators of Jaws regret it now because it really alienated people from sharks, right? Everyone just got scared of sharks because of those movies, including myself growing up. And if we look at Terminator, that really destroyed our perception of AI right now. And Cortana itself, right? I mean, if you play Halo, you'll know that Cortana takes over and goes crazy. So, you know, I think, but if you look at the progress, particularly last month, so last month there was an announcement that the new Microsoft quantum models have been able to replicate error correction at a new rate against quantum. And of course, when quantum meets AI, that's when we solve huge amount of problems or create a huge amount. So I think everyone goes straight to Terminator. And then, you know, then the announcement with Microsoft this week about neural processors, and also Apple as well going into every single laptop on the planet. You kind of think, are we rolling out, you know, the Terminator operating system as well? It's easy to go to that because we've been trained for, you know, my entire life. I love sci-fi, and every sci-fi movie has an evil AI, and we get trained down this path. And I guess that now we have to redirect and kind of figure out, well, actually, what is AI? What is the technology, and how does it solve problems? Because it's certainly going to solve more problems than it's going to create over the years if we control it right and govern it right. And I heard a quote the other day where someone was talking about the likelihood of AI and quantum coming together will probably be a lot like nuclear bombs, where it's controlled by a government or a group of, like, a UN controls that technology, and you can't just go and stand up quantum and AI together, because if we don't do that, that's, you know, that could be bad. So I think it's an interesting topic, but we're all facing into that, and that drives that ambiguity for our technical people to go, what do I focus on, and what does my career look like for the next 5 years?
Well, Scott, did you ever watch the 2000, I think it started in 2007 version of Battlestar Galactica?
Yeah, everyone in IT's seen that.
Okay. It's, you know, my favorite quote
shouldn't even be a question, Ray,
is, you know, all of this has happened before and it will surely happen again.
Yeah.
And the concept that, you know, the planet's been here billions of years, and we're finding more and more archaeological evidence that there were, you know, technologies available to ancient civilizations that we weren't aware of before and everything. And for anyone who didn't watch Battlestar Galactica, the premise of it is that AI, kind of like Skynet, you know, became very self-aware and aided in the construction of human bodies to move out of the robotics and into what is robotic, but is literally an organic shell that was indecipherable from a real human. And things go wrong there, you know? And
another good example of that is Fallout. If you look at Fallout, the synths, that's another movie that's kind of educated people that AI will just slowly take humans. So it's really easy to fall into that kind of talk track around, you know, how we think, you know, this technology will last.
It's going to be an interesting ride.
It's a super exciting time, I think, to be in technology. And I, for one, am loving it. Every day there's something new, and there's always a new, Scott will send me a new YouTube video or a news article every morning to watch up and catch up on. So again, I think we're very lucky and privileged to be in this time, and really helping organizations adopt this technology is something that's going to be, you know, really powerful in the next couple of years. But cool. So Ray, you've had this amazing career, and I, for one, am really enjoying the conversation with you today. Talk to me about your career highlights. What's that one career highlight that you look back on really fondly and go, wow, this is amazing. I achieved that. So yeah.
I'd say there's really two things. And one of them, in fact, let me see if it's right here. And now I'm not going to be able to read it because if you're on this list, Scotty, but it was about an onboarding class. No. Okay. So two things really come to mind. Creating the technical onboarding program for our technical specialists for biz apps, and all the classes and went through that. And that was really empowered by my amazing boss at the time, Nicole Collette, who, well, actually, whenever we started it, she wasn't my boss. We were working on the same team, but she was responsible as time went on to really develop that program out, including the TSM summits that I used to hold once or twice a year. Those were amazing times. And just having both the enablement that came through the technical boot camps for people and how tight the TSs got through that. And then being able to do a similar thing with the managers, I really enjoyed it. But if there's one moment, I'd say that, we used to have these biannual large training event things. That was, for a while, it was Tech Ready, which anyone who was at Microsoft from back in the day remembers Tech Ready. It was a gathering of all technical roles at Microsoft, and it was the greatest thing ever. I mean, we all loved Tech Ready. It would be at the Washington State Convention Center in downtown Seattle. And it just, like, when I joined Microsoft and got to go and hear these thousands and thousands of people in these huge rooms and these, main stage presentations, it was just like, oh my gosh. And then fast forward 8 years when I'm now, the global technical sales director, right? And wanting to really, as we were building out our TS and TSM communities for biz apps, I would have some kind of an event or be speaking or doing panel discussions and things at these events twice a year. And we had fought so long and hard to try to get dedicated CRM demo environments for people. And there was one year that a gentleman named Param Cologne and myself, he was in engineering and he was an incredible partner. And he really helped us get dedicated CRM environments available to every TS. And we announced it at Tech Ready during he and I would do a fireside chat as one of the sessions. And there were probably at that point, 250 people plus in the room, between our Microsoft consulting services, people who did all the implementations for a lot of our customers with our partners, and the internal pre-sales sides with the TSs and the TSMs that I was responsible for. And we made the announcement that everybody was going to be getting these dedicated CRM environments finally, and it was like standing ovation. Like, people were cheering, and it was just something that it felt like, hey, we've been listening, we've been trying, it has been pushing a boulder up a mountain, but we got it, and you're going to get it. And they start getting released next week or whatever. And just, in the after party that we had for the TSs and TSMs, just having a great time. And people were just like, literally just like, thank you. We got thank you, and just getting to be a part of that was a key moment, Matt. That was a really good moment.
And from the other end, I was a TS. Receiving those demo environments was amazing. It was. What we did before that was not so good. And you think, 7 years ago, CRM Microsoft wasn't really mainstream. So, living through the last sort of 7 years, watching biz apps grow has been incredible journey. Awesome. All right, Ray, closing words. Again, thank you for coming on the podcast. Maybe a bit of a plug for what you're doing now. What's next for Ray for the next few years, and how can people get in contact with you?
Well, I am working slowly on getting my 200-hour yoga teacher training certification. I'm actually doing it online because it's not the right time to just go off to Hawaii for 2 weeks or whatever to get it. But I'm working on that. Obviously the meditation and everything, but I'm also doing some work with our good friends at 2Win. So Scott, you certainly remember doing demo.
Fantastic group of
Discovery to Win, everything that we did. Yeah. So, and I've enjoyed, we had such a great partnership with them throughout the years in biz apps and everything that we did. And so it's been interesting as far as we were talking about still the human factor in all this, now helping facilitate for multiple companies through 2Win, like doing demo to win and people's presentation skills. since we're not at the perfect AI virtual Scott Meddings, demo yet, there are people who still really need a lot of help with their presentation skills. So if anybody is interested in having we do master classes where you may not have enough people like we used to do on our Accelerate Selling Tour, Scott, where it was our entire, teams that were going through it. Maybe a company only has 1 or 3 or 9 employees or something. We do master classes where we'll have multiple people from multiple companies in them. So it's a much more cost-effective way for people to do it. But we also still do it for dedicated companies like, we used to do within BizApps. So people can hit me up on that. LinkedIn is, and I'll maybe we can even do something special if they heard about it through the podcast with 2 wins. So we'll see, maybe. But LinkedIn is the best way to get a hold of me. I avoid social media outside of LinkedIn as much as humanly possible. And you can just go to rayschloss.com. But the company that I do outside of anything that's really core consulting related is through Thriving 24/7, which is something I set up last year to really focus on the meditation and affirmation and hypnotherapy side of things. So the meditation content that I produce for BrainTap and other people and clients is really through Thriving 24/7. So there's a contact form on thriving247.com, and that's all just thriving247.com. But LinkedIn is the best way to do it. So Ray Schloss, and maybe we'll have the link in the podcast to that, Scott.
We will, 100%. Thanks again for coming on,
Yeah.
and I'm looking forward to catching up with you in about 4 or 5 weeks in Seattle.
I'm a little scared, Scott, to get the band back together.
Hey,
there's legends. There are legends of.
You're scared. I'm worried I'm going to get hypnotized to go and sell Salesforce or something. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, Matt. Sounds good.
Perfect.
Right.
And Matt, you're heading off for 2 weeks to Thailand to go and do MMA kickboxing with a cold. So good luck. And we'll catch you on the flip side.
Yeah. So flying out literally very soon. So 2-week camp. So training 3 times a day, lots of ice baths, all of that kind of stuff. But yeah, a bit of a mental challenge. I'm a bit all or nothing kind of guy. So I'm like, stuff it. Let's just go do it. So I think Valentina Shevchenko might be over there at the moment for any UFC fighters. And Tim Tszyu was over there as well for any Australian boxing fans. So yeah, if I come back with a black eye, it's probably likely. But anyway, I'm looking forward to getting over there and giving myself
Matt, if you come back with a black eye and that's it, that's a win.
You should have seen the other guy.
You don't do the Anderson Silva or something horrible like that.
Triangle choke like this. Just like latch onto them. So, that'd be good. So looking forward to it. It's got to be a good break.
Yeah, awesome. All right, thanks, gents. We'll catch up, Ray. Not 8 years from now. We'll catch up soon again.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. It was a total blast getting to talk through all this with you, and all the very best, and namaste.
Hey, that's a wrap for today. Thanks so much for everyone for listening to our podcast. Just a few reminders. So we've set up a LinkedIn page. So we'll endeavor to put some updates on that LinkedIn page. So go on there and click follow for us. Also, don't forget to go to powertime.au and subscribe to our newsletter. And lastly, if you could please click a follow on this podcast so you get the latest episodes as they come out. We're trying to get the podcasts out every 2 to 3 weeks, so there should be a good cadence with a whole bunch of new guests coming on. Now, lastly, don't forget that the views on this podcast are not the views of NCS or Microsoft, but they're the views of Matt and I and our guests. Thanks again. Can't wait to see you on the next podcast.